He spent 3 years in silence, then one letter cleared his name for 3 years. No one asked him what happened. They only remembered the headline. They remembered the accusation. And every time his name appeared, people looked away before hearing the rest. Then one ordinary morning, a single envelope arrived. And everything changed. Daniel Mercer had never imagined that silence could become a place. Not a moment. Not a feeling. A place. A place where days blended together and people stopped meeting your eyes. Before everything happened, Daniel lived a quiet life in a small town outside Columbus. He worked as a maintenance supervisor at a public middle school. Nothing glamorous. Nothing important to most people. But if a classroom heater failed in winter, Daniel fixed it. If chairs broke before an assembly, Daniel stayed late. If students dropped books in the hallway, Daniel picked them up. He had worked there for 14 years. People trusted him. Teachers called him dependable. Parents barely noticed him, which Daniel preferred. At home, life was simple. His wife Emma taught piano lessons. Their daughter Lily was 11 and loved drawing animals on every blank piece of paper she could find. Daniel's life wasn't perfect. But it was steady. And steady felt enough. Until one Monday morning. The principal called him into the office. When Daniel walked in, 2 district officials were sitting beside her. Nobody smiled. One of them folded their hands and said quietly, "Daniel, we need to ask about missing school funds." Daniel blinked. "What?" The woman slid a printed report across the desk. Several maintenance purchases had been approved under Daniel's employee access. Thousands of dollars. Equipment that didn't exist. Invoices linked to his account. Daniel stared. Then looked up. "There's a mistake." Nobody answered. He laughed once. Not because it was funny. Because sometimes your brain refuses to believe what it sees. "I didn't do this." The meeting lasted 12 minutes. By the end, Daniel was suspended. By Friday, local news picked up the story. No arrest. No trial. But public opinion moved faster than either. Neighbors stopped waving. Parents whispered. One teacher removed Daniel's family from a neighborhood group chat. People who had known him for years suddenly remembered every awkward silence and turned it into suspicion. Daniel tried explaining. Nobody asked. An internal investigation followed. The records looked bad. Every purchase traced back to his credentials. Every approval had his digital signature. The district terminated him. No ceremony. No goodbye. Just a short email. Effective immediately. Daniel hired a lawyer. They fought. But legal cases take time. And time doesn't protect your reputation. Months turned into a year. Then 2. Then 3. Daniel stopped defending himself. At first he corrected people. Then he explained. Then eventually, he said nothing. Silence became easier. Emma stayed. Not because she had answers. Because she knew him. One evening she found him sitting in the garage. Lights off. He said quietly, "Maybe people only know who you are until something happens." Emma sat beside him. Then said, "No. People know stories. That's different." Daniel didn't answer. Lily once asked, "Dad, why don't you work anymore?" Daniel looked at the floor. Then smiled. Taking a break. She nodded. Children accept things adults cannot. To pay bills, Daniel picked up small repair jobs. Nobody asked for references. He worked quietly. Fixed roofs. Painted fences. Kept moving. But something changed inside him. He stopped expecting justice. Stopped expecting truth to matter. 3 years passed. Then one Thursday morning, Daniel checked the mailbox. Mostly advertisements. One utility bill. And one plain white envelope. No return address. Inside was a short typed letter. No signature. Just 5 sentences. Daniel read it once. Then again. Then sat down. The letter said, "You didn't take the money. Look at purchase approvals made on March 14th, April 9th, and June 21st. Someone used remote access. Check archived security logs. I should have spoken sooner." Daniel stared at the page. Emma came outside. "What happened?" He handed her the letter. She read silently. Then looked up. "Do we still have your case file?" Daniel said, "I think so." For the first time in years, he moved quickly. His lawyer reopened records requests. At first nothing happened. But archived data still existed. Old login timestamps. Remote access records. Building entry logs. A pattern appeared. Purchase approvals connected to Daniel's account had happened while he was physically elsewhere. One approval happened during a staff meeting. Another occurred while security footage showed him in another building. Someone had used administrative access. The district ordered a review. Weeks later, investigators found something deeper. A former IT systems employee had maintained hidden administrator permissions after leaving. Over several months, he redirected maintenance funds and used Daniel's credentials to approve transactions. Daniel had never seen the invoices. Never received the money. Never knew. The district announced updated findings. Public statement. Administrative error. Wrongful termination. Cleared of misconduct. 3 years. Reduced to 2 pages of correction. Reporters called. Daniel declined interviews. Neighbors started appearing again. People knocked. One man said, "I guess we got it wrong." Daniel looked at him. Then nodded once. He didn't say, "You abandoned me." He didn't say, "Where were you?" Because those answers wouldn't restore anything. One afternoon the superintendent visited. She sat at Daniel's kitchen table. She said, "We failed you." Daniel listened. Then asked one question. "Did anyone ever ask if I actually did it?" She looked down. And didn't answer. The district offered reinstatement. Back pay. Public apology. Daniel accepted only part of it. Not the old job. Something had changed. Instead, he agreed to help improve internal accountability systems. Training. Review procedures. Protection against false accusations. Months later, he spoke at a small staff meeting. No speech notes. Just one sentence. He stood in front of people who once doubted him and said, "When trust breaks, facts alone don't repair it. People do." Afterward, a young employee approached him. She said, "I remembered your case. I'm sorry I assumed." Daniel smiled gently. "Next time, ask questions first." At home that evening, Lily sat at the table drawing. She looked up. "Dad?" "Yeah." "Are you working again?" Daniel thought for a second. Then smiled. "Yeah. Just differently." She nodded and went back to drawing. Outside, evening light stretched across the yard. Nothing dramatic. No applause. No perfect ending. Just dinner cooking. Emma playing piano in the next room. And a man who no longer needed people to believe him, because the truth had finally arrived. The truth doesn't always arrive on time, but it always arrives.